But I look back at even, a week ago, and I think we've made good progress. We're more detailed. Um, we did a lot of defense today, and guys were good. It was good enthusiasm, good energy level. And as always, players are anxious to get on with the games. So I think coaches would like a couple more weeks of training camp, but the guys are ready to play.
Josh Cohen, OrlandoMagic.com.
Hey, Coach, what makes Miami such a good zone defensive team?
Well, one is, they play different zones. Like they move their guys around, and so, like we actually spent a lot of time today preparing for, if they play with an odd front or an even front. I think, like all aspects of the game, they're extremely well coached. And they've spent a lot of time with it, and they've developed a confidence level in their zone. Most teams in our league, because you guys know, we played some zone at the end of last year. We played some in the bubble. We played some in the preseason. But most teams in this league is like when you come up and you give up a basket, they get out of the zone. And these guys have worked on it enough and played it enough. So as you saw, even in the finals, those first couple games, it was almost their primary defense. And I think what's impressive about it is it's very hard at any level to develop a defensive mentality where you can play more than one defense well. And it's exactly what they've done. Their zone is very good, and their man-to-man obviously is excellent. And that's very, very difficult to do.
Josh Robbins, The Athletic.
I'm never going to get that. I'm never going to figure that out.
Some people are saying, Josh, that you just like it, that I look funny when I do that with the finger thing. So you're doing that to make fun of me, but I don't believe that.
No, I really am that stupid. I really am that stupid, Steve. You know that. Everybody on the call knows that. All right. Actual question now, please. You said, I think on at least one occasion, that there's a perception that you don't like to play young players. I'm just curious.
I was joking, but go ahead.
All right. Well, I'm curious whether that perception would dismay you. If that makes sense.
No, I mean, I think sometimes you may listen. I will tell you the greatest line. My dad was a high school coach for a long time and very good. And when I told him that I decided that I wanted to coach, he had the great line, "Are you sure?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, then there's two things. Don't walk around looking for people to tell you that you're doing a good job. That's not part of being a coach at any level. And, if you're looking for affirmation or, being rewarded with applause, this is the absolute last profession that you want to be in. So I was saying that jokingly, but, if you want to coach again is, what you learn how to do, this is the best line, and this has helped me. Take the right amount of credit and the right amount of blame. That's why you watch film. The film tells you who you are as a coach. And a lot of people are going to say good things, bad things about you, and no disrespect. Nobody knows if they're not watching the film closely. And so that's one of the reasons I'm fortunate to have the staff that I do. They watch so much film. But no, I was just joking. I mean, to be honest with you, since I've been in this league, I've played young guys every year, So that's just like when you get a reputation as a defensive coach. Look at Tibbs is a good example, right? Everybody talks about he's a defensive coach. Go look at his team's offensive numbers, both in Chicago and Minnesota. It happens with all of us. Once somebody labels you a certain way, it's just the way it works.
Philip Rossman Reich, Orlando Magic Daily.
Kind of building off that a little bit. How do you feel Cole and Chuma are feeling or are feeling as they get ready for their for their first, regular season game? Do you have to talk to them or have, what some of the vets talk to them to kind of calm their nerves, or how do you feel their mindset is at entering their first game?
Yeah, I think that, I think a little bit. I actually spent time with both of them on Sunday. Just to talk to them about that, let them know that they'd be in the playing group. I have great confidence in them. And also, the one thing that's hard is, the regular season is a lot more difficult than the exhibition games. The intensity goes up. The level of detail and execution goes up, but they'll both be ready for that. Again, they've gotten the short end of the stick with the, no summer league and, no September workouts. But, I have a clear vision of what each of them can become here, both in the next 6 or 7 weeks. And so, we're gonna play them, and I think that they'll be a lot more good than bad.
Josh Robbins, The Athletic.
How difficult is it to find the proper balance with a young player, putting them in the positions to succeed, and at the same time making sure that they're starting off their careers in a way that sets the tone for future growth?
That's the great question, and I think that that's what you have to figure out. Is I think that for any young player, the first 2 or 3 years is so critical because it sets the foundation of how they view the NBA, how the NBA works. How you have to work, how you have to eat, what you have to do in the weight room. You have to understand execution. And so for sure there'll be, listen, there'll be difficult nights. And I think the only thing you can do in this league, you work at it and you got to compete your way through the league. You play the game, you figure out what was good, what was bad, you share that with each other, and then you work towards fixing it. And that goes for both coaches and players.
Dan Savage, OrlandoMagic.com.
Cliff, you often talk about playing with pace, but also with offensive purpose. When you're playing an opponent like Miami, just how extra critical does that become?
Yeah, you can't give possessions away. I mean, to me, that's what they're good at. They have a way to play at both ends of the floor, obviously, that's very successful. There's a lot of things that you have to do defensively to make it hard on them for 48 minutes. And at the other end of the floor, they don't make mistakes. They make you execute to get good shots, whether it's the zone or the man-to-man. And so there's a lot that you have to do, to beat them.
Philip Rossman Reich, Orlando Magic Daily.
I know you said Mo yesterday did 8 minutes of scrimmage work. Now that you're entering sort of a regular season practice mode, what's kind of the process for getting him back into the group or determining when he's ready to hit the floor again?
Yeah, I mean, the same thing that we'll be doing with James Ennis, is trying to figure out every day. I mean, I meet with Lindsay every morning, and there's a lot of things we can do. It'll be some 3-on-3, full court, and he needs contact and to play. So obviously it's not ideal. James will be the same way. Cause he just, again, through no fault of his own, he's just behind in that way, just the rhythm of playing and reacting and anticipating. So there's things that we do, I mean, Mike Batiste does a great job with Mo. And I mean, he's sitting down, having him write out coverages and write out sets and options. So it's all aspects of it so that, he can get back to a place where he could play as soon as possible. Because my feeling is if you look at how condensed this schedule is, I mean, everybody's going to end up getting their chance very quickly here. I mean, it's going to be hard for guys to play major minutes where I don't even know. I mean, we played the 23rd, but starting the 26th, I mean, we go through the majority of the month of January without ever having 2 days off. And that's with a lot of travel and a bunch of back-to-backs. So guys are going to get their chance.
Okay, any final questions for Coach Clifford? Roy Perry, Orlando Sentinel.
Thanks, Trish. Cliff, I know that you had Noah Vonleh in Charlotte for just his rookie season before he got traded. I'm just wondering if you followed his career a little bit after he left, and is he sort of maybe one of those guys that you're talking about that maybe wasn't given the right chances, to develop his game? I know that he got weighed by the Bulls. He's had some bad luck lately. I just wonder if he's kind of one of those players that you're talking about, and maybe what kind of career did you see kind of forming for him after you had him as a rookie?
I mean, number one, Noah is one of the best people and one of the hardest workers I've ever been around. What happened for him his rookie year was he got a sports hernia in early September, and he had played well in summer league. I thought he might have a chance to be in our playing group. We had a really good team that year. It was the next year. I'm sorry. Yeah, that was a team that I take that back. We weren't that good that year. But he just never caught up. Again, it was a similar thing. I mean, so he missed all of training camp as a rookie. And he got behind. So, I mean, I don't think it was his experiences for me. I mean, because then he went to Portland and he had opportunity out there to play too. Look, here's the thing that the way this works, in my opinion, right? And this is not, coaches are responsible for helping guys, to me, maximize their talents. There's a lot to do that in our game because it's more of a flow type game. And there's decision making involved in 5-man execution where, I mean, you guys know, there's a lot of guys in our league that put up numbers rebounding and scoring, and you're not winning when they're on the floor. You're just not. I mean, like, this is not a league where you can make mistakes. So I think a lot of times people look at a guy's numbers. I tell our guys all the time, I could give you a list right now of guys that average 16, 17 a night, and you're not going to win with them on your team. Okay. And what I'm building up to is this. It always comes back to the player though, Roy. Do you know what I mean? The experiences are one thing. Here's all I know. The really good players, it doesn't matter who the coach is. Doesn't. The really good ones. So when guys maybe come up short of what people expected or this and that, maybe that their early experiences weren't ideal, but if they're really good, they're going to be playing. The best, like there's a lot of guys. Jeffrey and Gundy told me this my first year in the NBA. We were talking about a specific player. And I said, I heard this guy helped him, get better. And he said, Steve, our league, unfortunately, is filled with guys taking credit for talented players. It always comes back to the players. Guys that work and are smart are going to be good no matter who they play for. And, it's kind of the fringe guys that have to have the right, match, in my opinion.
Jamie Say, WKMG.
Steve, do you anticipate Dwayne starting tomorrow, and how is he assimilated into the team in a short time?
He'll start. Yeah, he'll start. James is still going to be out for a while. I mean, I thought the other night, to be honest, and I told him he agreed to a certain degree. He didn't take many shots, and it was a good example. We played so well with those 5 guys out there the other night. He just moved the ball. And his defense was really good. So, that's what I told him. He's always been a scorer, and, what I saw when he was young, when he played, was he can be a very good defender. And he has a playmaking. You guys have seen some of it here in exhibition. He has a playmaking ability in his game. He's just never really played that way. And I view him the same way as Cole and Chuma. I mean, he's a little bit more experienced than them, but not much. I think a month from now, he can be, as he gets comfortable and confident, he can be a very good 2-way player. And see, physically, he can compete with starters. He's big enough, strong enough, and tough enough to just physically compete with really good players.
I mean, in the little amount of time we've gotten to know him, it seems like he's got a really good attitude. And what's he like? I guess what drives him and motivates him, do you see?
Well, I think as much as anything, I think he's driven to show people that he's good enough to play in a rotation, for a good NBA team, that he's ready to be an every night player. and he's, you know, he's working hard. I think the two parts of it is consistency. If you look at his time in Charlotte, he had stretches. I mean, he had stretches where he averaged, I think, like a lot of, you know, quite a few points, like 10 games here, 10 games there. But his consistency, and I think that that's what he learned from that experience. He's got to do it every night for, you know, 72 games, not 10 games, you know?
Okay, everyone good? All right. Thank you so much, Cliff.